Oh, no. Okay, video number 2 of the night. This is the pollinator, Wakanda Forever. And guess what? I think my digital camera is dying on the vine. I'm glad I got to make a video with it the other day because that thing is probably 10 years old. It's a Canon power shot or power shoot camera. And before I started making videos with it again, I replaced the batteries, brand new batteries. And right now that stupid thing is saying change the batteries after only using it a handful of times. So it's probably on its way out. It was a very expensive camera when I bought it. And I and I'm using an iPhone. If anybody knows anything about iPhones, the camera sucks. Now, if I turn the thing around backwards, the clarity would be better on these videos. But then I can't see anything that I'm doing or that I'm saying. I would be pretty much staring at it the same way that I felt when sitting in front of that that camera, where I was just looking into a lens. Couldn't see anything. Couldn't see what time it was. Couldn't see anything. So anyway, this is the second video I'm making, which is, I don't know what the title's going to be, but it's coming from some of the things that I said in that video about my father, about my family. What I want people to know is that when it comes to our transition, we're not just dealing with family. We're not just being annoyed by family members. We're not at odds with just family. Everybody in our life is, and not even in our life like directly, has something to say or whatever. It's not just family, it's friends, it's spouses, it's partners, it's people on the internet, it's people on social media, it's people everywhere who is talking about the LGBT. But I can only speak right now for my experience as a trans man, in that, you know, and having to deal with the VA, I mean, having to deal with all sorts of things that you know, only the weak survive this. I'm sorry, only the strong survive this. The weak end up tossed around like a salad when it comes to all the various institutions, the government, and people we got to deal with about being transgender. And that's whether you're stealth, in other words, very, very, very few people know you're transgender, or whether you're out like I am, and freaking everybody knows. So yeah, we have to, not only are we evolving as who we are, and we're dealing with all of that, then we're dealing with all of the people that knew us from before. We're dealing with people who know us now. Dating is, for me right now, very obnoxious. Because, look, I came from a world of lesbians. In that world, I was not a threat. I was not rejected. I wasn't rejected any more than any other lesbian was in that world. But as a trans man, what we gotta deal with lesbians is just off the chain. And then, you know, if we don't want to deal with that, we gotta look at wanting to date bisexual women who don't have issue with men or women. They like men and women. or we got to deal with cisgender women and disclosing to them that we're trans men. And once they find that out, they bounce, because they don't know what they're dealing with. They don't, you know, they don't see us as men. If you let them know too soon in the dating process or whatever, you know, you'll get instantly rejected. So, you know, we're dealing with that. We're dealing with everybody's opinion, which are like assholes. Everybody's got one. Either that, or they're not talking at all. You know something's on their mind about it. You know they probably have questions that they would like to ask, but they're too scared to ask, or they're just not even on the map of caring. What the fuck is going on with you, or what's going on with me? You know, one of the favorite things that people in my family and people who are cisgender, which means you identify with the gender you were born on your birth certificate. That's all cisgender means. Transgender means you don't. So, you know, one of the famous things that they say that complicitly means la 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 la, no. They don't want to know nothing is, you know, as long as you're happy. Which isn't making any kind of commitment one way or the other of whether they're supportive of you or not. That usually means they're not. They're just there on the fringe of your life. But they don't have a relationship with you. Because there's crap they're not saying, but is showing up in how they come across to you or how they treat you. This is going as far as me and getting this book published. Same thing. There's things they're not freaking saying that I know they're thinking because it's coming across and how they behave. Now, listen, when they don't know I'm a trans man, they deal with me like any other man. If they know I'm a trans man, all of a sudden they're not giving me the same respect, and they're not giving me the same latitude. They're not giving me the same attitude that they do men. And otherwise, yeah, they're treating me like a woman, and oh, how dare you speak to me, the man, like that type of attitude. Now, they don't say that. They show that in their reaction or the way they talk to me, the way that they are around me. All of a sudden, or maybe even right off the bat, they're not talking to me as the man that I am. They're talking to me as the woman they think I am. I don't know if that makes any sense to you, and that's not throwing shade at women. Oh my God, I love women. But they are treated differently in society, so we're getting a taste of both at the same time, depending on who we're talking to and depending on who we're dealing with. And it's not all family. It can be your employer. It can be business associates. It can be employees. It could be a crap load of things. It can be just looking at all the stupid shit happening in the government against us. From the military to healthcare to all of the crap that's coming at us is being bombarded saying you're not okay. Now, imagine that and being black too. All the messages out there are saying we're not okay either. We're not as good as. We are not equal. We are not, we are oppressed people. So you add being black and you add transgender in there, and just imagine the washing machine cycle that we're in. And I don't say that like a victim. I'm just saying that, like, I think another video I said, in another vlog I said, it's like the Matrix. It's like seeing everything. Not knowing what to do about it all, but just seeing it. Like, noticing it. Like, I did the Landmark Forum back in August, and I did not disclose when I was doing that seminar. The only people that knew that I had transitioned were the coordinators for the paperwork. So I did not disclose while I was doing that seminar. After I did it, they formed a group, a closed group on Fuckerbook, and we were all in there, and I was talking to one of them, and we were talking about how awesome our forum leader was, and I happened to say, you know what, do you think he's on this platform? And they said, yeah, he probably is. And I said, now I didn't say that in this group. I was talking to somebody in a chat window who was in my forum. And I said, what do you think he'll do if I tell him I was a trans man? They said, I don't know. And so I thought about it for a couple of days, and I looked and actually found him there. And I thought about it, and decided to go for it and let him know. I think my first message to him, I don't remember because it was before my eye surgery, I think, but I might have said hello, I might have said something like that, and he might have been, cordial, but then I told him, dead silence. Look, silence of something that huge. Them people want me to be a forum leader again. Or well, they're back on that track of wanting me to pursue the curriculum and become a introduction leader and up from there. Well, I don't think they want that no more. Because he's a forum leader, and the forum leaders of Landmark own Landmark. So, it's totally up to them what kinds of people they pull into the ranks of becoming a forum leader. But his silence told me everything. It told me everything, and so does it with a lot of things in life. See, it isn't just me being a trans man. That silence barks at me and is actually louder than words. It is an action to be silent when you should be saying something, or be saying something when you should be silent. I mean, life is just like that. But the silent treatment, when I tell somebody I'm transgender, tells me everything. They're not okay with it. I was in a relationship with someone who was using silence like a weapon. When I should have been being doted on, I wasn't. That felt like neglect to me. That was neglectful to me. Not doing something that one could be doing to make things great, to make things better, to make things okay. If they're not doing it, that's like silence. That's like, I don't care. And then you never get to know what exactly it is they're thinking. Which is, God, is that, how does that feel? I don't know the word for that. See, they can get away with it, if they're directly in your life and they're doing that all the time, it's abusive. But if they're not in your life all the time and they're giving you that silent thing, that silent treatment, it feels... I feel like that lady in The Help when the writer asked her, how did it feel to be taking care of white women's babies with her child at home. And she looked up and said, it feels like... And then she couldn't answer the question. Anyway, it's like the same thing. I got that movie is stuck in my head. So this vlog, it is the things that I'm saying is the reason why so many trans men are afraid to transition. See, they're afraid of this stuff. They're afraid of what we face. They're afraid of the isolation it could create potentially. They don't know what's going to happen any more than I knew what was going to happen before it happened. See, but they're afraid of it, and I too was afraid of that, but I was less so afraid of it with regards to my family because I really didn't care. They weren't in my life at the time that I transitioned. So, but I still had a concern about community, about society, about I had all that shit was going on in my head. Because when I came out the first time, thinking I was a lesbian, oh my God, I went through hell. Okay, I got beat up in the street by some guy who, actually two guys and a woman, who made a habit of hanging out in the only gay bar that was in that town and watching who came in and out of there. And they saw me come out, then saw me somewhere else downtown and jumped me. That kind of stuff was on my mind when I realized, oh my God, I'm a transgender man. Oh no, So that's why I fought it. And there's other people out there who are fighting it because they're afraid what their family's going to think. They're afraid of what their friends are going to think. Hell, they're afraid to lose their lesbian card. And the lesbians that are in your life are afraid of losing their lesbian card for the same reason. You know, they're afraid once the entourage or your group of friends or whatever finds out that you're with a man when you're supposed to be a 5-star lesbian. 5-star lesbian means you've never been with a man, you've never been penetrated, etc., etc. But they're afraid that if they let the whole community know that they're with a trans man, they're gonna get ostracized, they're gonna get isolated, and they're gonna lose their lesbian card. That's why I don't like dealing with lesbians. Well, I've only got 2 experiences with them, and one of them I never even met. But so I'm still stuck in this, I'm stuck in between worlds. If they don't know, they treat me like a man. If they do know, they treat me like a woman. Some of them treat me like both, depending on what comes out of their mouth in any given day, period of time. And then I gotta be dealing with all these clowns at the VA who do know, and some who don't know. And it's a whirlwind, folks. This is the most intense thing I've ever done in my life, and I have done a lot of things that took a lot of energy, a lot of transformation, a lot of emotions, a lot of thinking. I have done a lot of things, and nothing comes even close to being a trans man and the things that I've experienced. That's why I've got enough to write a book on its own about my transition, which I'm choosing to do. Because so much has happened in 3 years. More has happened in 3 years than the last 30 years of my life. More has happened inside of 3 years than the entire 30 years of my life. And I'm not saying that to scare anybody, because a lot of it is absolutely wonderful. It's absolutely living who I've always been all of my life, but denied myself when I was young because I felt like I couldn't tell anybody, is the best thing that ever happened to me. It's just having to deal with people. And I have just like I said, I had a love-hate relationship with this planet, the people on this planet. Or no, I think I said this planet. I have a love-hate relationship with people. I'm very compassionate, but they get on my fucking nerves. Everywhere I look, there's all sorts of fucking division and competition and all these things that don't lead to fulfillment. They don't lead to happiness. They don't lead, you got to work all around all these bozos in this world to carve out a piece of heaven in your life, and try to get rid of all the riffraff that is getting in the way of that. And on social media, it's damn near impossible. On the internet, it's impossible. If you want to know anything that's going on in the world, you're going to be looking out there and see all the crapola going on. So imagine, and you can't, if you isolate, you're in trouble. If you try to void yourself of any information whatsoever about what's going on the planet, you're not, you're going to be dead inside, because you have to interact with people. God didn't create this planet, or whatever created this planet didn't just put you by yourself on it. So you have to deal with people, different people, outside of yourself. But doing so as a transgender man, it's a trip. Good and bad. Good, bad, and ugly. It's all there to be dealt with as you are evolving and defining, redefining yourself. Being socialized as a woman when you were a man is the craziest thing in the world. Re-socializing, and a lot of them don't choose to do that. A lot of them choose to stay socialized as women, and they never figure out, they never figure out how to re-socialize as a man. They don't have male friends. They're always hanging around women. They're kind of playing, some of them do that so that it's not discovered that they're trans men, so that they don't lose that access to women. Because once women know you are a man, whether you have the genitals of a man or not, you lose a certain amount of access to women. You are treated differently. Me and my buddy were gonna go to, well, we changed our mind. We're gonna do it next week, but we were gonna go hang out in a strip club, okay? And we were talking about how much different it is to be around strippers as lesbians than it is as men. And we were talking about it, and then I said, you know what, I'm gonna call a couple places that we could go to and ask them find a way to ask them how have things changed for our information, not for their information, for our information. So I called both of them, and you can't touch them. You can't touch them. And as lesbians, we were allowed to do all sorts of things, but even not as lesbians, we were allowed to do all sorts of things back in the day. 20 years ago, there were private rooms at the strip clubs where you could pay to get a lap dance. And while you were in there, it was just you and her, so you can pretty much do what you want. There wasn't no bouncer in there to stop you. But I guess something must have happened in the last 20 years where, no longer acceptable to touch them. And I've also been in situations too where me and a group of friends went to one of those strip clubs where the windows, you put money in this thing, the windows go up and down. And when they open up, there's a stripper on the other side. You couldn't touch her either because there's a window in between y'all. Oh, we were giving her a hard time. We were trying to get her to meet us after her shift was over. See, it wasn't nothing to do with us. Women or men, it didn't matter. So anyway, yeah, there are so many differences and so many things that I'm being faced with as a new man, as a new person. It's almost like, it is like being reborn, except you're being reborn with the mentality of an adult, which is real different than probably going through this as a child. There are some fortunate children right now whose parents understand what's going on with them, and they allow them to transition. They treat them like the gender they want to be treated as. But I don't think those stories are they're far and few between of how many get to do that in childhood, even right now in 2018. I know a couple of mothers who have transgender children, and I'm so envious of those children and what I didn't get to do in my childhood. I be doing love on those moms. They some mama bears. You know, they ain't letting nobody mistreat their child, and they're helping them through their transition. There's certain things that transgender children can't do until they're 18, but up until that point, you know, it's up to their parents to allow them, I suppose, allow them to be the gender, the opposite gender that's on their birth certificate. I've only heard maybe 5 to 10 stories like that, and there's millions of us. Well, millions. We don't know the numbers, but there could be millions of us in this country, and even more of that worldwide. People don't know. They don't want to know, especially the phobic ones. The homophobics and the transphobics, they don't want to fucking know how big the numbers are. Because then they might look like the hypocrites that they are. While complaining about being oppressed, they're oppressing other kinds of people. And so, colonizing fucking attitude while talking about being pro-black. Anyway, I'm going to cut this short of most of my videos I've been making all year, which have been very, very long, at least 45 minutes or more, because I ran out of things to say at the moment. My brain is, I need to go to the store. I do everything very late at night. I am the night walker, always have been, all of my life. Oh man, did I torture my cousins. On the weekends, I made them stay up all night till the sun came up. I did. If I had to put toothpicks in their eyes, I made them stay up. You ones that ever, if you see this video, you'll know who you are. You'll remember who you are. If they ended up spending the night at my house, you know, they need to be ready to be up all night. I've always been nocturnal. I've always been a night owl. I hated doing things in the day. I sleep in the day now. You know, I'm lucky if I'm up. Unless I have an appointment somewhere, I'll sleep until the sun goes down during, this isn't daylight savings time, but you know, when the sun goes down at 5, 6 o'clock or whatever, is when I'm waking up. So, because I go to sleep at 7, 8 o'clock in the morning. Anyway, it's 2 minutes to midnight, I think. One of my clocks is off by a minute. But, in just a little bit, it'll be New Year's Eve. I might make a video on New Year's Eve. I might not. I might have something to do tomorrow night with a friend. And, but I hope everybody had a great day and a good evening. Most of y'all are getting ready to go to bed. I'm just getting going at this time of night. So, peace, everybody. Peace be unto you. Namaste.